What's going on, everyone? This is Nate the Great coming to you live from the All Sports Audios Network. It's Thursday full count, and I'm here with Greg Hot Seat Galliano. What's going on?
Oh, man, not too much, Nate the Great. I'm just over here, kick back, chilling in beautiful Southern Oregon here in a little town called Coos Bay, just enjoying the weather and just getting a few things done. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. You're wearing your Cardinals shirt today. I actually, that sign that I shared on the Thursday pregame, Sunday morning pregame show for Major League Baseball. I hang that up. I put that right there. So you're, but before we talk baseball, let's go to the ads, and we'll start off with Suzanne Paparazzi's Jewelry.
Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us, from all of us here at the ASAP Network.
No, Misty Meadows. I just want to remind everybody that if you're out there in the comment section and you want to win a free t-shirt, all you have to do is like the show, comment the show, and be engaged in the show. And at the end of the month, we tally up all the comments that we see out there in the comment section. And the person that gets the most comments wins a free t-shirt. But say for a second that you don't get it this month. You still want a t-shirt, but you didn't want it for the month. You're driving, you're listening to it on Anchor, whatever the case may be, and you still want a shirt. That's fine. Message me, message Greg, message Ray, message anybody that's on this network. All you have to do is pay $14.99 plus shipping and handling. Sizes go from small to 2XL. All right. So last week at the end of the show, we did this thing called Baseball Jeopardy, where I tossed in one question. This question I don't even know yet. I don't even know what the question is yet. And this is a question that I find off of baseball. Off of MLB, MLB has this little thing that they do on Facebook. So, and if we get this right, it is technically considered a home run. But if we get it wrong, it's a strike. 3 strikes, and we are out. This goes off a majority vote. All right. I guess we'll go ahead and get this started. The first question, as soon as I pull up the MLB Messenger thing, MLB, all right here. No, not Instagram. Okay. So the first question actually goes towards the New York Mets. Who is the Mets' all-time hits leader? That's the first question. Ed Kranepool, Daniel Murphy, or David Wright?
Gonna have to say he just retired, I think, a couple seasons ago. I'm gonna go with David Wright.
Okay. I think you're right on this, no pun intended. But I'm going to go double check. It's loading, and correct, we scored. This is another New York Mets question. How many former Mets are in the Hall of Fame? 20, 16, or 12?
I'm gonna say 16.
Okay. Correct. Another home run. We're on a roll. Last time we had 3 strikes. We had 3 strikes right into that. We didn't hit home runs. Now we have 2 home runs. No strikes. Who started the first postseason game as a pitcher in Washington Nationals history? Dan Herron, Gio Gonzalez, or Steven Strasburg?
I'm gonna go with if you're going combined. Well, let's see. I'm gonna go Gio Gonzalez.
Okay. Yes, we're at 3. We're at 3 home runs. Which player holds the Royals club record for 229 intentional walks? John Mayberry, Hall McGray, or George Brett?
I'm gonna go with George Brett.
Okay. It's loading. Yes, we're at 5 in a row. We're at 5 in a row. So, what is the record for the most home runs scored by one player in a single postseason? 9, 8, or 7?
I'm gonna say 8.
Okay. Correct. The runs keep coming. Which reminds me, kind of not skipping into the next segment. We're not, but keeping an eye out. We scored 6 home runs, and that is the number of runs combined between the Yankees and Indians right now, 3-3. Which team did the Phillies defeat in order to reach the 1993 World Series? Atlanta Braves, Kansas City Royals, or Houston Astros?
I know it wasn't the Royals. I think it was the Astros.
Okay. I knew it. I knew it. This is the first strike. First out. 1 out, 2 more to go.
Was it the Braves?
Yeah, it was the Braves.
Okay.
What number did Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn wear his entire career? Number 1, number 20, or number 14?
I can't hear you, Nate.
What number did Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn
Your
wear?
sound's not coming in on my end.
Okay, that is weird. Testing, can you hear me? Huh.
I'm not picking yet, bud.
Can you hear my mic is going?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Okay. What number did Hall of Famer Richie Ashburn wear his entire career? 1, 20, or 14?
Number 1.
Okay. And that is another home run. If we get 20 minutes, if we hit the 20-minute mark, then I guess let's go on to the next segment.
All right.
How many hits did Kirby Puckett collect in his Major League debut? 5 hits, 4 hits, or 3 hits?
I think he had 3 hits.
Okay. And that's incorrect. Straight 2, swing and a miss. So which closer, and the correct answer was 4 hits. Did you say 4 hits?
I said 3.
Oh, okay. Which closer posted a club record of 51 saves in 2015 to lead the majors that season? Mark Lincoln, Matt Cabs, or Evan Meek?
Give me the names again.
Mark Malinkin, Matt Cabs, or Evan Meek?
Malinkin.
Okay. Correct. Another home run. This is a Texas Rangers one. Who is the first Texas Ranger to hit for the cycle? Julio Franco, Mickey Tettleton, or Adobe McDowell?
I'm gonna go with Odeby McDowell.
Okay. Dang. Correct. The runs keep coming. Which artist played a concert at Dodger Stadium 2016? Britney Spears, Eric Clapton, or Beyonce?
I'm gonna say Beyonce.
Okay. Yeah, I knew it was either between. That's correct. And I knew it was either Beyonce or Britney Spears, but I couldn't remember between the two. Can you name the Orioles reliever who made 342 appearances for Baltimore and is currently the managers of the Orioles minor league system? Mark Williamson, Jim Johnson, or Alan Mills?
I'm gonna say Alan Mills.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards that one as well. Loading. Correct, another home run. What stadium did the Washington Senators call home from 1911 to 1961? RFK Stadium, DC Stadium, or Griffith Stadium?
I think it was the first one.
RFK Stadium?
Yeah.
Griffith Stadium. Okay.
Oh, man.
Dang. So we actually hit 10 home runs that time, which right now I was hoping we can hit 11 because that's how many number of home runs the Cincinnati Reds scored today against the Arizona Diamondbacks. But unfortunately they lost. But no, we were one shy. My all-time score playing this game was 21. So, which actually leads to this next segment. Talking about the games being played. We'll start off Arizona versus Cincinnati. The Arizona Diamondbacks ended up winning this game 14-11, which proves Arizona's record 9-10, and Cincinnati ends up going to 9-9 for the year. Now I know this doesn't really mean much because it's still early. However, are you kind of concerned with Cincinnati Reds at this point?
The Cincinnati Reds is a team that I thought was going to be competitive, especially in the Central this year. I wasn't expecting them to be kind of at the top, but I definitely thought that they had a pretty good crew. I think they've got some really good talent in there with Winker and Votto still tearing it up, hitting for great average, playing great defense over there. But yeah, I am a little bit concerned because they seem to they're capable of putting up a lot of big runs, but they're also capable of giving up a lot of runs. And that's kind of scary when you got a team that's their defensive play isn't that great or their pitching is a little bit on the weaker side. So I don't know exactly what prediction to give you on how they're going to finish up, but it is a little bit concerning when you're seeing them drop these games like this, these close games and high scoring games. So they have a pretty potent offense, but yeah, their pitching lacks a lot. Losing Bauer to free agency, that was a real blow because he gave them a lot of great innings, a lot of great outings.
Yeah.
Last season. So if they would have been able to afford him again, that would have helped a lot. But yeah, Cincinnati is an up and coming team. I think they got some really good prospects. I think they got a lot of pop in their lineup. But like I said, I mean, I don't think they're going to go all that far right now because their pitching is so weak. But they do have a good enough offense to at least squeak out a few of these wins, even if the pitching isn't on par to where they like it.
Yeah. Even with some of these games where they did end up winning the series, I mean, opening day they lost that game by a huge number. The Reds ended up losing 11-6 to to the St. Louis Cardinals. I almost called them Arizona Cardinals for a split second there. Wrong sport. But they do, and honestly, it really depends. That pitching staff is where's their weakness so far this season. However, they are on the flip side. I think they still hold the record. I need to go double check that, but they still hold the record for the most number of stats. I mean, most number of home runs. Not the record. They are leading this season with the most number of home runs. I need to double check that, but while I go double check, the next game right after that, Pittsburgh Pirates again. They seem to. I know it's really early. I know that, but the Pittsburgh Pirates have been doing a lot better than what we expected as well. They beat the Tigers, and I know it's the Tigers. But they beat the Tigers 4-2. Even though I do think they're going to finish off with the losing record, I'm going to completely demolish my hot take that I said earlier, and I know it's still early to put this up, but I'm gonna put up my humble pie because I said that both the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates were going to have less than 40 wins this season. And it's only 2 weeks, and both teams have proven me wrong. Both teams, it's only 2 weeks, and both teams, well, actually, it's been 3 weeks, but both teams have won a third of what I thought they were going to win. All right, I guess I'm going by myself for a little bit. The next game right after that is the New York Yankees. They played against the Cleveland Indians. Actually, I'll post that down below. The score right now is 3-3. And the Boston Red Sox are currently up 1-0, as Greg is still, devices are not connected, having some technical difficulties today. So he's having some technical difficulties. Next up right after that, the Chicago Cubs are playing the Boston Red Sox. Now Greg is up on here twice. All right. Okay, so let's go right back to what I was talking about here earlier with the Yankees. The Yankees are tied. The Pirates. Pirates ended up winning today 4-2. Now this where did you see the Pittsburgh Pirates ending up towards the end in the season? Where did you see that at the beginning of the season? I guess what I'm trying to ask, before the season even started.
Well, I didn't have them, I don't think, as low as you had them as far as wins. I still, I had them being at the bottom of their division. I definitely thought that they were the worst team in the Central. They've got a lot of improving to do and everything. But, I probably had them around the 55 to 60 game kind of mark. This season, I mean, they do have some great prospects. Ke'Bryan Hayes is going to be an absolute stud when he gets healthy again. He plays excellent defense at third base. They do have, he gives them a lot of pop in the lineup, but they're a young team. They're a scrappy team. So I see them winning a couple exciting games here and there against teams that should be on paper better than them, just because they're so feisty and scrappy out there. But I didn't have them really doing a whole lot in their division, but they are going to be pretty exciting at times to watch because they do have a pretty young lineup and a lot of unknown players. They don't have any big name stars really to go in that lineup, but they're making some moves. Their front office has pretty good farm system going on and everything. So yeah, I still had them kind of last in their division, but I mean they're fighting hard right now. They're playing pretty decent ball. I don't know how long it's going to last, but I think that it's probably going to be like them and the Cubbies kind of down in the basement.
Now I do have a question for you. Which actually this was asked this was asked on Sports Status. He sent us a video that I played on Sports Status. I gave my thoughts. Brandon gave his thoughts. But I want to know what your thoughts are. And this question actually came from Will. This deals with the Chicago Cubs. Let me find it.
What's up, Nate and Brandon? It's Will. Had a question for you guys. I wanted to know which 4-6 team should be more concerned for the rest of the MLB season. Are you more concerned about the Cubs or are you more concerned about the Blue Jays? Both of them are suspected to do very well this year, both off to a little bit of rocky starts. Let me know what you guys think.
Now, obviously, it's not 4-6 anymore. But I still wanted to know, between the Chicago Cubs and between the Toronto Blue Jays, which are you more disappointed for?
I'm more disappointed probably with the Cubs. I mean, they pretty much had a fire sale. Theo Epstein's gone. They got rid of several key players from their World Championship from a few years ago. You still got Javi Baez that's tearing it up.
Yeah.
Chris Bryant, he's continually being on the trade rumor. It seems like every year, or every few months, are they going to keep Bryant? Are they going to get rid of him? I don't think they've had any big time serious offers for him yet. I think that teams are interested, but they don't know if they can really afford his services. So, I think he's kind of getting a little bit discontent, not knowing whether he's going to be there one day or the next. Rizzo isn't really lighting it on fire. They just seem to be out of sync. Their pitching isn't there. I think that in Toronto, Vlad is starting to come around, and he's starting to become the player that we all thought he was going to be a few seasons ago when he was like a number one prospect coming up. So I am a little bit more concerned for the Cubs than I am the Blue Jays. I think that anything can happen in the East. Look at the Red Sox. They weren't really expected to do a whole lot, but they're playing good. The Yankees.
Oh yeah, they're on fire right now.
Yeah. So Boston's playing very inspired baseball. Alex Cora's got them. They must really buy into everything that he's saying, because they seem like a completely different team than they were in his absence. When he was kicked out of baseball for a season or so anything can happen. I know it's a young season, but I'm not as concerned for the Blue Jays as I am with the Cubs. The Cubs just seem to be completely out of sorts right now.
I 100% agree. When this question was being made, when they asked this question, when Will posed this question, I said the Toronto Blue Jays, because the Toronto Blue Jays had an easier schedule, in my opinion. Let's double check real quick. The Chicago Cubs, where are they right now? Right now they're sitting. Right now the Chicago Cubs are sitting at 8-9. 8-9 being their record. They're currently 0-0. The Cubs, they played against the Pirates and had one loss. They played against the Brewers and they played against the Pirates. Those were their only opponents. So now when playing against looking at Texas's schedule, not Texas, Tampa's schedule, real quick. I just heard a beep. Oh, sorry. Looking at Texas's schedule, not Tampa. Why do I keep saying Texas? Looking at Tampa Bay's schedule, Tampa is not Toronto. I'm trying to juggle between teams here, and I don't know which one is the right one. I'm kidding. They played the New York Yankees, which is a much harder opponent for me than the Pittsburgh Pirates or the Milwaukee Brewers is, in my opinion. So the Cubs for me was more of a disappointment, because the Cubs had easier opponents. That's how I thought about it when I answered this question. But now it's still the Cubs. Now it's still the Cubs. You're looking at the Boston series, Toronto versus Boston. Toronto ended up winning this. Actually, they split it. 6-3 yesterday, and then on April 20th, they won 4-2. So personally, for me, it's the Chicago Cubs. They've been more of a disappointing team all year. All right, so off to the next little bit of a topic. We'll go right off into the next game. A team that's actually been more disappointing than both the Toronto Blue Jays or the Chicago Cubs, which I'm glad because they're in our division and they've been stomping us for years. The Houston Astros. They lost George Springer over to Toronto. They've lost. I get that. But did anybody expect Houston to start off the season 7-10 with a 1-9 record in their last 10 games?
Yeah, I don't think anybody expected that. When you look at a lot of the baseball polls and the early season polls on where teams were going to finish, I would say at least 60 to 70% of sports writers had Houston winning the AL West and being the top seed out there in the West.
Yeah.
I didn't have them being the top seed in the West. I thought that they had some vulnerability within their franchise, and I think that things are kind of catching up with them, especially losing Springer, who I thought was their best asset to free agency when he went over to the base. But it's kind of weird though to see them lose 9 out of their last 10 games, because they started out really good. They started out like 6-1 or so and it was looking pretty good. And then they come in and, they're dropping a whole bunch of games to teams like the Colorado Rockies. I'm sure you're pretty pumped up about that, Nate.
Oh, yes, yes.
So
we destroyed them.
Yeah, so you got some pitchers in there like Urquidy, who was a pretty good postseason pitcher and everything, and he's not really performing quite the way that they'd like, and they just seem to be missing a lot of, they're just not really coming together as a team. They're not really putting together a lot of great plays defensively. They're not putting a lot of great at bats or patient at bats. So they just seem to be kind of playing out of sync right now. I'm sure they'll get better as the season goes along. But yeah, I wasn't expecting them to be 3 games under 500 at this point.
Yeah, I didn't expect that. I mean, they've been playing. They started off the season. They played against the Athletics. I mean, this team right now. I know this is early. I get that, but this team right now reminds me of really, great comparison, the Rams last year, because the Rams, they finished off really well. The Rams finished off 10-6. However, I'm using this analogy because 2 of their 6 losses were to the 49ers, who did not do as great. They only won like 5-6 games of the season. My point is looking at the Athletics, they lost their first 6 games, including the Houston Astros. But somehow, after that Athletics-Astros series was over, their course of direction just hit a split. Like, as soon as that game was over for Houston, they just start going downwards. And then same with the Athletics. personally for me, do you think that this year is going to be a year that Athletics are going to do really well, unless if they're playing Houston?
Yeah, I do think that the Athletics are going to do really well. The sad thing about the Oakland A's is I've said it before, is they're kind of on a time crunch. So basically, they have this season and the next season to really put something together, because they got people coming up as free agents. They got a lot of problems to solve within the next couple of years from their front office standpoint to see, how competitive they're going to be. So right now they've got a really decent team in place. They got decent pitching. They got outstanding play from their first baseman and third baseman, Olson and Chapman. They got some good pop in the lineup. So I think this is kind of a make it or break it year, because I don't think that they have, I don't think they have 4 or 5 years to try to put together a World Series championship. I think that's kind of now or never. They're one of those mid-major teams, one of those mid-market teams that really has to watch their spending and stuff. They don't have a lot of the money that like the Dodgers and the Yankees and the Red Sox have to pour into their team each and every season. So I think that they're going to play pretty well. I think that they're going to keep up this pace. I kind of had the Angels being a team too to look out for in that division, but I like the A's. I think this is going to be a pretty solid year for them. I just hope that at some point, the A's are able to get over the hump, because it seems like the last several seasons they've always been good enough to maybe squeak into the playoffs or be right on the verge of making the playoffs, but then they don't really make any noise once they get into the playoffs, because they're lacking the hitting, or they're lacking pitching depth, or whatever it is. They just don't seem to have in the past what it takes to kind of get over the hump and have a successful October.
Honestly, the A's, using another NFL analogy, the A's of baseball is like the Saints of football. They go to the playoffs year after year, but then something happens. One play happens that ends up changing the game. But anyway, let's go on. Let's go on to the next game of the night, which both these games actually have not started yet. But I'm gonna skip over the Marlins game just for a quick second. By the way, score update: Chicago is leading over Mets 3-0. They just scored a 3-run home run to put themselves on the board. While in another scoring update, the New York Yankees put 2 runs up on the board to be in the lead 5-3 at the top of the 7th. But anyway, skipping over the Marlins and Giants, let's talk about a game that was really, really exciting. And Ray and I were talking a lot about this on Sports Status the other day. We were breaking this down. Did you know the San Diego Padres started 10 pitchers their first game against the Dodgers this season?
No.
Yeah, they started 10 pitchers against the Dodgers, and some of these pitchers, they didn't even give up a run. They didn't even give up a bat, a hit. And then their coach took them out of the game. What? How? We talked a lot about this on Sports Status the other day, but I want to know how many Padres pitchers are playing today against the Dodgers. The Dodgers are the home team. Also, I want to know, how does Blake Snell feel about all that? Because he left the Tampa Bay Rays because of what happened in the World Series. So how does Blake Snell feel about all this? And realistic, I want to know your opinion. How does Blake Snell feel about all that?
Well, as we know, Blake Snell was pretty discontent last year with the Rays and their coaching decisions and everything that played out in the World Series, especially when he was pitching phenomenal baseball. And then they gave him an early pull, a yank out of the game when he still had plenty of left in the tank. Just kind of like how the Astros pulled Zach Greinke out, even though he'd only thrown about 75 pitches or so. Gave up a bomb, but still had plenty of arm left. So I think that kind of direction that the Rays were doing kind of rubbed them the wrong way. But now when you're talking about the San Diego Padres, and if they come in and they use a pitcher for a couple of batters or an inning and then move on, I mean that's kind of, at this point, especially in the season, it's a little bit ridiculous to run through that many pitchers in an entire game to either get through a game or try to keep the Dodgers hitters off balance, not knowing who's going to come in and pitch the next inning. So I think these kind of theatrics, whether it's a decent team like the Padres or whatever, that would rub any all-star caliber pitcher and player the wrong way, because these pitchers are getting paid a lot of money to be out there. And I don't like the way that the game is going myself, so I can understand completely that if Blake Snell is upset with it, because I am. I don't like it. I like the good old days when a manager basically could tell when the pitcher was done or not. They didn't necessarily put someone on a pitch count or, we're going to pitch him for 5 innings and then pull him no matter how well or how badly he's doing. I don't like all these metrics that they're using in the game. I think that, you're paying these guys, and if they got plenty in the tank and they're pitching pretty well, I don't think that they need to make a pitching change every inning or think about getting the bullpen ready every time someone gives up a hit or something. I mean, I like the old school managers. I like the old school players when they actually were able to go deep into the games. And, basically the manager could tell, that back when managers were real managers, they could tell when a player was done or not. And so if I was Blake Snell, I'd be pretty upset with this kind of stuff, because getting a pitcher out there to just kind of throw 10 to 20 pitches and then pull them, that, to me, that's kind of ridiculous. And then you start doing that stuff and you blow through that many pitchers. The next thing you got somebody like Wade Boggs having to come out and pitch, and throw some 62 mile an hour floaters, to try to get through innings. So I don't know. How do you feel about it, Nate?
I agree with you. I just wanted to point out one thing. Pierce Johnson, he pitched 0.1 of an inning. 0.1 of an inning. He didn't even play a full inning. No hits. No one runs. No one guys. He didn't walk anybody. And he didn't even get a strikeout. He just, had a pitch. That was about it. Why did the guy even pull him out of the game? That's it. That's just, I don't know. Dodgers did the same thing. It's not just with the Padres. The Dodgers did the same thing with Victor Gonzalez. There's just some that, I mean, there's some guys that got walked. Like Mio Pagan had a strikeout and he did walk a guy. But those two guys didn't even walk a guy. It wasn't even enough to walk a guy. Anyway, off that topic, let's backtrack a little bit and talk a little bit about Giants and Marlins that play later tonight. As soon as I pull it up right here, They play at 8:45. Giants have 11-7 record. Miami Marlins are 8-9. Do we think that the AL East has been going exactly how we thought it was going to be? The winner, the team leading the AL East, sorry, not AL East, excuse me, NL East. The winner, the team that's leading it right now, the New York Mets, they have a 7-6 record. They have the lowest record out of all the division winners. It just shows that the NL East is very, very competitive. Now they go up against the Giants. Who do you have winning this match? Who do you have winning the series actually? Because I think it's the new start of the series.
Okay, did you say the Marlins and the Giants?
Yeah, Marlins and Giants.
Okay. You know, I think that the San Francisco Giants are probably going to win this series, but I think that the Marlins are going to pick up a game. I think that the Giants are playing a lot better baseball than we expected. I mean, we didn't
they're
expect
another
a whole
team.
lot of them. Miami, they're not performing terribly right now. I think they're sitting at 8-9. But
Yeah.
the Giants at 11-7. They're playing some pretty good baseball right now. So I think they're kind of going to edge it out a little bit in this series.
Now, some other stats that we need to keep track of, Miami does not have a great home record. They're 4-7. They're 4-7 at home, while the Giants, they're tied. They're tied. They have a 6-6 away record. So that's where things start to get competitive. This is where I see things going either way. Now, if Giants were the home team, actually I take that back. Giants are the home team. I have the Giants winning this one. I have the Giants taking it 2-1. Well, actually, is it 2? Yeah, 2-1. No, 3-1. I have the Giants taking it 3-1 because the Giants have only won one matchup. I mean, lost one matchup at home. They've won the rest. They're doing really well at home. So I have that taking the Giants taking it, almost sweeping the series. Now, which actually leads to the next question, and then we're actually going to move on from talking about this week, and it's rank them, right? Top 5 Major League Baseball teams of this week.
Okay.
So from last Thursday to this Thursday, who do you think is doing the best right now?
Okay. Let's see here. Well, I would say probably you got to have a team that we've been talking about nonstop for the last few weeks. Got to put Kansas City in there.
Dude,
they're looking good. They're
you have it at
scrappy.
number 5. You have 5 going up to 1, or 1 up going down to 5.
Oh, I got Kansas City in the 5 hole.
Okay.
So in the 5th spot, I got Kansas City. They're playing pretty good baseball. They're getting excellent pitching right now. They don't have a losing record at home or away right now. So they're playing pretty good. I thought that they were going to be, here we thought that it was going to be pretty much the White Sox in Minnesota. Minnesota hasn't got the memo yet. Sorry, Brandon.
Just awful.
But I don't know exactly what's going on in Minnesota, but yeah, Kansas City, they're getting some good pop in their lineup and they're playing pretty good. And then of course, I've got the let's see here. I've got the well, let's save that one. I got the Red Sox probably in the 4 hole. They're still playing good. They're still dominating their division. Tampa Bay starting to pick up a little bit of steam. It's going to be a pretty tight division, but a couple teams that we thought were going to do well aren't right now in that division, with the Yankees and the Blue Jays kind of stinking it up. And then we got in the 3 hole, I got Milwaukee, another team that I thought was going to do pretty well because they got outstanding pitching with Corbin and Burns in there. And of course, Hader, in the cleanup role as the closer, throwing the high heat. So they're getting a little bit more. I mean, Milwaukee right now, they've got a plus 24 run differential, which is outstanding. We didn't expect a lot of outstanding hitting, a lot of power out of these guys. We thought they'd be all defense, but they're doing an excellent job of getting runs on the board right now. And then to fill it out, I'm going to put the Dodgers in the 2 hole, even though they're at 14-4 and looking like the best team in baseball. I got to put the A's in the number 1 spot because they've won 11 games in a row. They're really putting it together.
There's no way. There is no way. And if somebody out there in the comment section is disagreeing with this, expect this. There is no way that you can put any other team right now at the number 1 spot except for the Oakland Athletics. 11 games.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah, you can't. They're playing the best baseball of any team right now.
The only way
even though the Dodgers still have an excellent record, the A's are on fire.
The only way I could see that is if there's another team that's undefeated, which undefeated in the last 11 games.
To start out at 1-7 and now they're at 12-7. That's phenomenal.
They're the only team. They're the only team to go undefeated ever since they went 0-6.
Yeah,
they're the only team to win 11 straight. Actually, they're the only team to finish off. I think they finished off. Did they go 0-7 at first, or did they win a game?
No, they went 1-7.
Okay. Yeah, they're the only team to do that. I should have made that my Four Bros radio stat of the day. So Athletics, obviously, without question, Athletics number 1. Number 2, it's another without question. The only reason outside of the record why I don't have this team over the Athletics is because of their scoring. Their scoring, they beat the Mariners yesterday, but they did not score very much to beat the Mariners. They beat the Mariners 1-0. And their highest game this season, actually, they only had 1 game where they scored, 2 games, 3 games, where they scored more than 10 runs. So I'm going to have to go Dodgers all the way for number 2. Number 3, this team right now 7. I'm gonna go with the team that's 7-3 in their last 10 games, which is another shocker for me. I gotta go with the Brewers. Gotta do it. I mean, they've been just playing crazy baseball, great at defense. Like expected, the Brewers aren't as aren't really great offensively speaking, but they have great. They made it great additions to their ball club. Number 4, another 7-3 team. Man, I gotta go Seattle. Seattle 7-3. They during the 7-3 span, they beat the Dodgers one game. They had a split series with the Dodgers. They went 2-1 over Houston. Orioles is the one, they had split with Orioles. They've been doing really, really great. And now the other 7-3 team, the last 7-3 team that I have to fill in is the Miami Marlins. With their 3-0 game, and like you said, their run differential, they have a plus 24 run differential. The only reason why they might have a lower record is because they play in a competitive division. If they played in any other division, I think their record would be a couple games more higher. You saw exactly like what happened again with them and against the Atlanta Braves. Marlins beat the Braves like 14-8, which has to be, no question about it, this has to be a rematch of what happened last year. That 29-9 game where Atlanta wins 29-9. This has to be. That's my number 1 to 5. There are some honorable mentions that I was going to put in there, some of the 6-4 teams. Mets being one of them. Mets being one of the Giants. I'm surprised, going back to Pittsburgh, I'm surprised, Boston, another one that's 6-4. But I'm surprised Pittsburgh's 6-4 right now. And Texas is also 6-4.
I'm telling you, we're getting a lot of good play from a lot of teams that we weren't expecting much from.
And I wouldn't be surprised, and then we'll go on to this next topic. I wouldn't be surprised if Texas wins this next series. They play Chicago White Sox. And Texas, it plays an away series against Chicago, which Texas has been doing great away. They're not doing as great as home, but they're doing great away. Which then goes to this next topic. We'll talk movies for real quick segment. What is, in your opinion, is the most underrated baseball movie of all time? You got to confess something, but I'll wait. Wait, what?
The most underrated baseball movie of all time?
Yeah.
Well, I had it down to about 3 movies that I had it down to, and I thought about 61 with the asterisk by it that Billy Crystal directed, about the magical race between Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris for the home run record, that Maris ended up hitting 61 home runs that are eclipsed by Mark McGwire, and then also Sammy Sosa, and then later Barry Bonds a few seasons later. But I thought that was a pretty underrated movie because it showed the friendship between those two. A lot of people might have had the impression that Mickey Mantle and Roger Maris were rivals, but they actually lived together, and it showed their camaraderie and their friendship through that entire season. Also, another one that I had as kind of an honorable mention was For Love of the Game with Kevin Costner. Kind of showed the other side of baseball, kind of a player's personal life and a reflection of a game kind of passing them by, and saying goodbye to the game and saying goodbye potentially to um, a love interest. And so it kind of showed the personal
Yeah.
side of baseball. We always see them perform. We don't know much about their married life or their life with their girlfriend or what, but that was a pretty good movie that kind of showed the other side of the game. But I think the most underrated movie, I have to go with a movie that critics and the fans equally for some reason didn't like. I personally liked it. I don't think a lot of people did like it. It didn't sound like it, but there was a movie back in the day when Freddie Prinze and Jessica Biel were very, very young. It was called Summer Catch. And I don't know if you're familiar with this one or not, Nate, but it was basically
Yeah.
about a left-handed pitching prospect that had aspirations to become a big league pitcher, and he had some personal demons and some personal issues, and it shows his relationship with this girl that he was doing lawn maintenance and stuff like that for her dad and mom that were rich, and he wasn't rich, but he had aspirations to make it big. And it just kind of showed young love and young aspirations and the dreams of becoming a major league player, and the work and everything that comes into trying to get to that point, to get picked up, to get a minor league contract, and how much it takes also to try to carry on a relationship, not only when you're young, but a lasting relationship, and what that involves. And it's just kind of a young love story, and I think that it's very underappreciated. I think that the movie was actually a lot better than what critics and fans alike give it credit for.
I gotta confess something. I have only seen 2 baseball movies so far, and I have seen it. So what I'm gonna use is actually a baseball. It doesn't really count. There's a lot of baseball in it, but it's not really the big. It's not really a big factor in the story. Um, the show's called Holly Molly. It's about a girl that it's actually really about a family. A family of 5 who well, I say a family of 5. It's actually a family of 6. Grandma being involved as well. Grandma owns a bakery shop, and the bakery shop eventually they're running low on money. They couldn't afford to pay their bills. They had to come up with something. So what the middle child does, the younger daughter, is what she does is that she ends up having this uh I couldn't remember what they called it, but it was some sort of talent show. And so it was like Friday night, some sort of version of Friday Night Lights. So basically, Friday nights you could show off your talent. Towards the bakery, and that brought in more customers. That brought in a lot of people that wanted to buy the stuff there. And well, why I bring up Holly Molly as my most underrated baseball movie is because the younger daughter, she actually became the age where girl baseball and boy baseball, it's kind of split. So girls play in one different league. It's kind of segregated in a way. And she did not like it. So what she did, and the reason why I put this in here is because she became on the boys. She got put onto the boys baseball team because of her talent. They didn't. The coach did not include the fact that she was a girl and the rest of the team was guys. She put it on there because of her talent, which is why for me, Even that, and I've only seen 2 other shows, baseball shows. Besides that, the other 2 being the Bull Durham movie and 42. That is why I put that as my most underrated. Bull Durham, I saw it. I didn't care that too much about it. And 42, I really, really liked, except that's popular, so that's not considered underrated. Okay. Which actually goes to this next topic. You're wearing your Cardinals shirt. I have this above me. Let's talk some Cardinals. Well, actually, let's talk about Cardinals. In their history, they've had, actually, I was having a conversation with Ace, and he says that there's a lot of teams out there that's had some really, really great pitchers. Really, the only team I can think of right off the bat is the only team I can think of right off the bat. And Tim says Little Big League. Excuse me. I've never seen that one. Gotta go watch that, but I've never seen it. So, what, in your opinion, what are your top 5 Cardinals pitchers of all time?
All right, here we go. In the 5 hole for the top St. Louis Cardinals starting pitchers of all time, I got my boy Mort Cooper in there from 1938 to 45. From 1942 to 1944, he had a 65-22 record. Didn't have a great start to his career, but definitely had a lot of success when he joined the Cardinals. He was also the 1942 National League MVP, and he had a 22-7 win-loss record during that season. And then in the 4 hole, I got Adam Wainwright, who is still currently with the team. From 2008 to 2010, he went 50-22. He has pretty good stuff. Hasn't been the most outstanding postseason pitcher, but he's been a steady presence, just like Yadi Molina over there. He's pretty much a Cardinal for life. So I got Adam Wainwright in the 4 hole there. And then we got a couple guys coming up that were kind of plagued with injuries. I got Chris Carpenter in the 3 hole. He went 21-5 in 2005 with a 1.78 ERA. Helped get them to the World Series, helped win a World Series, but he was always plagued at some point with torn labrums, elbow issues, stuff like that. So he had to retire a little bit earlier than he wanted, but he was a bulldog on the mound. He just came out and gave it his all every time, and he was a well-loved pitcher for the Cardinals. Then we got from 1930 and 1932 to 37, we got Dizzy Dean. Okay. Dizzy Dean was an outstanding pitcher. He also went on to have a very long storied and very well-traveled sportscasting career. He had a deep Southern drawl. Everybody loved his play-by-play, his announcing for Cardinals games. Once he retired from baseball, he had electric stuff. I think to date, he's the last 30-game winner that has ever been seen in the National League, and will probably ever be seen again in the National League the way things are set up now, where pitchers barely make it 5 innings, and they're going with a 5 or 6 man rotation and a lot of injuries and stuff. So I don't think we'll ever see another Denny McLain or Dizzy Dean out there. The sad thing about Dizzy Dean was he made an all-star appearance, and what happened was a comebacker came right back at him and broke his toe. And his toe never healed properly, and he continued to try to pitch on it, but it hurt so badly because it never healed right. And what happened was he tried to pitch by not putting as much weight on his foot to kind of keep his toe from hurting. But then he completely wore his arm out because he wasn't planning right. He wasn't using his body right with his form and mechanics. So he blew his arm out, and that's what kind of forced him into an early retirement and forced him into the broadcasting booth. And then, of course, I got pretty much number 1 or 2 on my Mount Rushmore of starting pitchers. We got Bob Gibson. Bob Gibson had the season of a lifetime in 1968, went 22-9. He had, the guy never smiled on the mound. He just came at you. He was pretty much like a Nolan Ryan, came at you, had excellent velocity. In 1968, he won the Cy Young, and he's pretty much the main reason why they lowered the pitching mound or hired the pitching mound after 1968, because nobody could really hit off the guy. 22-9, he could have easily maybe won 30 games with a little bit better run support. But yeah, they ended up having to even the playing field because the pitching mound was too high, they thought, for his velocity, and hitters just couldn't keep up with his fastball. So they lowered the pitching mound to try to give hitters, more of a shot to be able to hit against him and some other flamethrowers. So I got Bob Gibson in my number 1 spot.
My list is very similar. The only difference between my list and your list is that I have for my number 4, I have Chris Carpenter, who pitched from 2004 to 2013, and then Adam Wainwright, who pitched 2005 and is currently pitching for the Cardinals. As my number 3. So actually, all it is really I flipped my number 4 and my number 3. I think really the one thing I want to add about Chris Carpenter is he in 2009, he was ready to begin in 2009. Press knew he won 17 out of 21 decisions and finished the NL best in ERA of 2.24. Just some stats to throw out there. He finished second in Cy Young vote. Again, he finished it to Tim Lincecum, and part of the voters waived importance versus equally deserving teammate Adam Wainwright. Right. So that's my top 5. Same as yours, except 3 and 4 are flipped. Any final comments before we give this a close?
No real final comments. I just wanted to say that it was either way between the 4 and 3 spot on the Cardinals pitcher. I kind of went with Chris Carpenter in the 3 spot over Wainwright because I thought, who would I rather have on the mound, in a potential season-ending scenario, Chris Carpenter or Wainwright. So I went with Carpenter on that one. So that's basically how I came up with that list.
So for me, catch out next show right after this. We have ASAP Real Sox. So please make sure don't forget to check that out. This has been Nate and Greg signing out for now. We do just right. Oh, never mind. I thought we had another comment. Well, anyway, just signing out for now.